We're almost live. There we go. Yay, we're live. Hi, this is Dawn Nocera, and this is our Monday morning or afternoon hangout, depending on where you are hanging out from in the world. This is the Empire Building Mastermind Hangout, where we mastermind and empire build. Yay! And this week we're going to talk about going from invisible to invincible. And I think that that may resonate with some of you who are watching behind the scenes, who don't get on and become more visible. And some of you who are watching and maybe you want to do something more to become more invincible, to feel your own invincibility in business. And we're going to talk about how being more visible can help you be invincible. So come and join us. We're going to chat about it, talk about our wins for this week, and share some great insights from the peanut gallery, from the mastermind group. We're going to dig deep and get into the minds of everyone and see what new consciousness we can raise about empire building, about going from being invisible to being invincible. Dun, 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 dun. So, all right. Hey, how you doing, everyone? How you doing, Mark?
Good. Dawn, how's Robin? I see Robin there.
She may be getting ready. She may just be popping on and loading up her stuff. Anyway, so here we are. So happy to have everyone here. And I'd like to take a deep breath. Start that way because, man, I'm telling you what, we really have I might have had a problem here. We really have an opportunity to ground ourselves and get really grounded on solid foundation before we go running after this, invincibility or another new idea or running after the next new shiny object. The thing is to keep grounded. That's why we breathe, because it helps us stay grounded and focused. So I know it seems so simple. So, Mark,
we had a word this week, maybe just as a little science experiment throughout the mastermind. Maybe every 5-10 minutes you could just say, breathe in and feel grounded. And return to that as an anchor, grounded, grounded, grounded.
Grounded, grounded, grounded. Every couple minutes we'll see if we can do this.
We did something like that. We were exploring freedom and non-attachment yesterday at the Center for Spiritual Living, and the leader had us, just kept throwing that in every 10 minutes. Take a breath and really breathe in freedom, as it became sort of an unofficial mantra. It really tended to amplify the work that day. And so I thought maybe I'd pass that on and we could attempt that. Since you're already going to ask us to breathe anyway, let's repeat that a few times during today.
Okay. Robin, hold on a minute. I'm trying to fix you up here to see what...
I thought she was married.
What's that?
You said you were trying to fix her up. I thought she was married.
Yes, I'm trying to fix her up with a good microphone.
Oh.
I may have inadvertently changed some settings, so when she comes in,
Mute.
She might be muted.
Yeah. Well, it does say it has her microphone with a slash through it on my. Oh, she's a mutant, she said.
Yeah, so we can see her. We just
can't be able to hear her, but she's still making herself heard.
That's just so.
She's in the process of going from invisible to invincible. Look at that.
I know. This is the invincibility factor here. Let me see if I can.
And we all know that mutants are invincible. So.
I know. I can't. Well, I finally have your
magic passes over her face there. Robin, 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 come to us, Robin. We hear you now.
I wonder if I can turn my control room off and maybe that'll give me some more I don't know.
Why don't
Robin,
we just tell the Google Plus mechanic to work behind the scenes while
I'm
we...
telling you what, Google's doing some googly things. Googly. Um, keep trying, sweetie. We'll just we'll get this. We'll get it.
We'll get a lip reader in.
We'll get it. And remember, this is what we're
Oh,
doing. We're breathing today.
nice, Mark. That should look good on the video.
We're breathing. We're breathing to
Uh,
ground ourselves, right? Take a deep breath to ground ourselves. Grounding, grounding. Okay.
Stay here and do it via chat. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Okay. We
That's
can
really,
we can
I've
see
never
you
seen this
hang
before. There's thought bubbles appearing over the film strip on her head. Is that something new, or?
We've been doing that for the last couple months, I think. When she types something in the chat box, we're talking about, for those of you on the outside who are watching, we're talking about the inner workings of the Hangout, that what we can see that you can't.
Will that happen for all of us if we do that?
Yeah, it'll happen for you. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but we'll be able to see it. So here's the big question.
Did that happen? Wow.
No, because I have my chat box open. So if I have the chat thing closed, it might show up. But listen.
Let's roll.
Listen. We're moving on from the Google tools. This is not a Google Tools Hangout. This is a Empire Building Hangout. And this is how we get distracted. That's how easy it is, isn't it? Yeah, invincibility hangout. So if we can stay grounded and focused on our personal power to be invincible, we won't make ourselves invisible by chasing these little side distractions. I like to start out every week with little wins and little, just what's going good in your week. Do you have something great to share? And I know, Robin, you're muted, but you can text and I can, read it to the world. And plus I can show your face. I'm pretty sure I can pop you up there. Maybe. No, I can't even box you. That's so interesting. But I can see you. Yeah, so what's your wins, Mark? Do you have any? You want to?
I did. Let me try and keep it under 15 minutes. How's that?
All right, sounds great.
I've been challenged for the last 2 months or so with some physical, structural limitations. I did 2 shows in 1 week, which is an enormous amount of energy to begin with. But to do it with those limitations meant I'm starting to get on the other side of it. One of them, I drove myself to San Diego, which was 4-hour jaunt, stayed overnight at a friend's, and performed for a big community-wide Purim festival at the Chabad in San Diego, which was hysterically fun. And it also meant I I loaded my equipment in, set it up, tore it down. We're talking about a 10-hour shot. I wouldn't have been able to do that a couple of months ago, so that was a huge win. Got to stay over with a high school buddy at the end of that, and that was wonderful. And then just the whole trip was perfect. Everything lined up beautifully. People were in the right place at the right time. Got a lot of help. And, what I had dreaded a little bit, that, there was, it was precarious doing that, and instead it was a huge win. Excuse me, Saturday night I got a call from a client from 18 years ago, just, thrilled that she's still not smoking and sending me another one. Those are just those wonderful calls. I mean, just in the middle of, who expects somebody to call on Saturday night?
Nice.
I took, Dina, my girlfriend, is an Igasku practitioner, which is a very, very powerful postural correction thing for pain. I haven't had any breakfast, and I'm going to need some tea. She took us a week ago to another practitioner and gave us a bunch of exercises. I've been doing them regularly. I really see some improvements, so that is a huge win. And my nephew is flying in from Holland on Thursday. We've already lined up a whole bunch of stuff to do. So it's a big couple of weeks, and we're really happy about it. I'm glad to share that with you.
Great. That sounds exciting. I love how easy your weekend was. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't easy, but it flew. It flew, meaning it was in the flow.
There was no way I could have done it a couple of months ago. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have been seriously injured. I mean,
Mm,
it wasn't that I wasn't beat up that night. I was, but I toughed through it and got out the other side, and that's a good thing.
awesome. That's great. Yay. Robin, I know you can't really speak. If you need sign language, I wouldn't even be able to
You can hold
understand what you were saying.
pictures of your wins.
Yes. Do you have pictures of your wins or just, like something that you want to share on the side? I mean, and if you're watching from the outside, you want to post your shares or whatnot too, go ahead and do that and let me know if you're watching from the outside. Let me know if you want on the inside. I'm not going to post the link. We had some creepers coming in last time. So I will just plus me and let me know that you want in, and I'll privately send you the link, or I'll add you from the inside. So that's how we'll do it. Anyways, Robin, you can't speak, and speaking is what I am to do.
Yeah.
That's a bummer. Oh, okay. So Robin says, I'm letting go of all the shoulds and discovering my uniqueness, and this is opening up all your joy, power, and essence. Yeah, I mean, whew, that's a huge celebration. It's the letting go. I mean, those shoulds. So this is a really interesting kind of what feels like a great place to start talking about moving from invisible to invincible, because oftentimes we play in the realm of invisible because we think we should do things a certain way that may not be a perfect match to who we are, so we can't get ourselves to do them. Whether it's a hangout or whether it's sharing from our heart, or whether it is writing a blog post, writing a newsletter, calling somebody, asking for referrals, all of these things. We think we should do them a certain way instead of the way we are designed to do them, which makes us really easily visible and makes it really easy for us to be seen. And we create a situation where we are invisible just by the fact that we're still operating on all these little shoulds. It should look like this. It should be done this way, and it should be structured in this pattern before you actually do it, instead of just showing up like you're doing, Robin. Showing up, speaking your truth, sharing your joy, celebrating who you are, discovering your uniqueness, like you said, and through conversations, and that is so much a part of what I wanted to talk about today. Is can you get to the point where you realize that invisibility moves from invisibility to invincibility just through simple conversations? It's like mind-blowing, isn't it? Mind-blowing. That simple conversations can move us from invisible to invincible, because when we start sharing from our heart what we're really about, what's really going on, what we're really doing in our work, and not just coming up with a canned little speech to market to somebody, but through a conversation, then people get to get us a little bit more. They get to understand us a little bit more, and we feel our own power through these conversations. Anyway, so I thought, Robin, you're just such a great consciousness expander, and you're not even talking. So, yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if anyone else has had that experience where you move from invisible to invincible just by allowing yourself to have just a few heart-to-heart conversations, not just forcing yourself to do it because you should do it, but doing it because you feel resonance with somebody. You feel like, oh, I just want to be I just want to connect with this person. I want to have a good, juicy conversation with them about business, about what we're doing, about the event, about, if you're in an event together, about the community that you live in. I mean, whatever it is, find yourself a place to have a big, juicy conversation with somebody about something that you really resonate with. And it's phenomenal how you can move from being invisible to invincible in a really short period of time just by having those authentic conversations. If you can put the link in the chat here. Yes, I can do that, Robin. So here it comes. Hold on. So I don't know. I know, Mark, I know you're having a lot of conversations with a lot of people. You do a lot of networking. So I'm going to ask you, have you found this to be true, like having these heart conversations? And plus you do your own little marketing. You have your name tag, which I think is really brilliant. But what are some of the ways, because I think you have a great knack of being very visible, and you're moving into, and if you haven't already felt that invincibility, it sounds like you're starting to attract a lot of people out of the blue, which is always nice. So I'm asking the question. Take a deep breath, another deep breath, ground ourselves in the moment. Feet planted on the ground. And then, so what are your thoughts on going from invisible to invincible? What's working for you?
I'm just thinking of yesterday, because that's about as far back as I can remember right now, because I'm so grounded in here and now that the past is gone and the future ain't here. And so what's the question? No, the question was, am I having conversations that move from invisible to invincible? I can think of two yesterday where, like you said, I just wasn't pushing anything or selling anything, but I did want to connect to the person standing next to me about the event. In this case, we were both waiting for the bathroom. And it was a woman I had not seen at the Center for Spiritual Living earlier than that, and just engaged fully in the conversation with no marketing agenda, so to speak. And we got pretty quickly to some definitely heartfelt stuff. We did end up exchanging numbers. I think I'm now very visible to her and vice versa. I'm not sure I'm invincible in that thing, but I certainly wasn't vincing. So I guess I was.
Well, I think, yeah, and there's something in, for this is just this conversation. This is just for this, transitioning, and it's what I'm wanting us to get to is this place where we can feel our own shifts and our own transitions from what are we doing to going from being invisible to being invincible. And what does invincible feel like for us? Invincible feels like we have no problem sharing what we do, right? Mm-hmm. No problem at all. I mean, of course, Mark, you're not having any problems because you're advertising it everywhere you go with your name tag, which is in part of being invincible. Because when you're able to share yourself like openly and say, you know what, this is what I do, this is how I can help people, and allowing that to start in your own awareness instead of, doing it the way everybody else says you should do, but in your awareness, being consciously aware of where are those shifts happening in your conversations that you're having with people, or even in, when you're doing marketing, and what are some of the major shifts that you have or things that you do in your life and in your business that create those shifts from invisible to invincible, where you feel like, I got this one nailed. I now I know how I can always easily reach out and find the perfect client for me, or if it's not, there's no place where they all congregate, then you can say, I know where I can always find people who are great referral partners. Those are kind of the things. And can I communicate what I do in a way? I got like thrown off my game the other day because a girl that I've known for a very long time, and I adore her. She's like an amazing powerhouse of amazingness. She's just is a self-expression, um, a living example of what it's like to manifest through self-expression. She's an artist, a rock star singer. She owns a big, uh, holistic institute around the corner here. And I've known her for a long time, but she was just looked at me and she's like, "We got to talk because I need to know what you do." And I'm like, "I've known her for years. I have given speeches with this woman. How does she not know what I do?" But apparently she doesn't. So I was like, "Oh my gosh." That was a big wake up call for me that somebody's out there that's very close to me, that I talk to all the time, regularly, not all the time, but I talk to her regularly, and she still didn't know exactly what it was I did. And I thought, wow.
Let me pick up where I left off, and then I want to come back to what you just said.
Okay.
I'm thinking of a similar incident, but where I left off was then I left the center. Dina and I went out to lunch, and I had, moved into that mode, like you said. And then first we sat near somebody at lunch that we knew, but they instantly saw me. I didn't see them. I mean, they in fact, they said, "Mark," just like that. I would have missed them completely. Then about halfway in, someone came up and said, "I was at a concert at your home." And I didn't know whether to approach you or not, and then I just felt it out, and I said, "Yeah, I can go up and say hi to you." But it was sort of because there was almost like, "Oh, he's almost a celebrity. I don't know if I should approach him or not," which is, I had a laugh, and I said, "Yeah, come on." So that was another phone number and email exchange, and a very nice conversation. And then I went to the restroom. Right next to us was a celebration of life going on. This was an outdoor, beautiful restaurant on the lake in Westlake. And Mark, and it was one of my daughter's high school classmates, and I'm close to her mother, and there was her mother too. We were supposed to do some work together. So it was just more, but it was people drawn to me. I wasn't actually seeing them. And there was a certain kind of invincibility about being able to share easily what was going on. Now, back to what you just said. Hello, Robin. Let's see. No, it's still muted, I think. Bummer. At least I see the mute on Robin's box, so to speak. When you mentioned that the person didn't know you, I'm thinking of I was in a networking group for ex-New Yorkers, which was an interesting thing. I was born in Staten Island and moved after 2 weeks. And then I went to college in New York, so I technically qualified for New Yorker. I was in that group for 8 years, and I must have mentioned dozens of times that I go all over the place to do comedy hypnotist shows. I had a booth at the Westlake Hyatt. I saw one of the members in the New York group and another person who I knew, and I thought, I want to put these two people together. They should meet each other. I think maybe, if not, they might just be friends. They might do business together. So I just kind of grabbed them as they were going by my booth to do a good thing. It wasn't to market to them or do anything else. While he's talking, he's looking at my booth, and as soon as he finished, the guy from the club who's listened to me for 8 years looked at me and said, "I'm the president of the California Auto Body Association, and we're having our meeting in Disneyland Hotel. Do you think, would you come that far? Would you do a show? Do you go that far?" I mean, here's a guy who's heard me talk about flying to Indiana, whatever. And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, I could even stay overnight and do a stress seminar the next day. All you have to do is give me a hotel room." 8 years, and he still didn't know, like you said, precisely what I do. Now, part of that, like you said, yeah, she had heard me give speeches. Well, yeah, I did my 30-second commercial for 8 years. Doesn't mean anybody's listening. And even if they're listening, it doesn't mean they're retaining. I think this, it almost reflects back to what I call the arrogance of people, networkers, who don't wear name badges, or at least just slap a "hello, my name" is on there, because it forces people to remember about them, rather than make it easy for people to remember things about
Yeah.
them. And so our fantasy is that, well, I've given speeches, they heard every word I said and they memorized it. No, not even with spaced repetition.
I
Not
know.
unless you make that direct, not unless you evaluate afterwards and say, we're going to have a pop quiz. I mean, play Jeopardy and give a couple of answers and then have people make up questions. Then you'll know whether they heard you or not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, our hallucination is, I gave a speech, I felt really good, I heard applause, I saw people smile, and they have now memorized everything they need to know about Dawn's offerings for the rest of their life. And I'm going to be stunned if somehow they say, what do you do in 2 years?
Right. Oh, yeah. And I mean, I'm not, and it didn't shock me as much I mean, it did shock me, and I'm so aware of that, but this one just got me because we're actually friends, it's not like a casual acquaintance. It's really like we're friends. I was actually, at her art showing, so I'm like there. And she was just, like, and just the look on her face, I just realized that, a part of me, so if there's somebody that I'm standing there right next to who I have obviously have a good relationship with, who I haven't been very clear about what I do, what I'm doing, or how I can help anybody that she like how she could refer me eventually or not, but just have a general idea of what I do so she can make her own decisions if she thinks that's worth sharing. But she was a friend, and I'm like, there's a part of me that's still invisible. As much as I'm thinking that I'm not invisible, and moving into invincibility means is that whole, what you're talking about, Mark, is getting over the ego's idea that people should know who you are.
Right.
That's invincibility, is when you can move over that ego's hump and say, ah, like, we are moving beyond the ego here, and we're really going to add value and help people know who we are, not just expect them to because we think we're entitled to it. And I never thought I was entitled to her, but I just really have had so many conversations with her, and she's actually been to one of my classes before.
I think certainly, yeah, the arrogance is about entitled, but the flip side of it is just feeling, wow, I put in all this work into this relationship, and I would have assumed that I would have made the right impressions for that person to come away with a clear idea of what I do. No, because for one reason or another, you may have withheld on having an actual, here's what I do, and training that person how to give referrals by offering them, who do you think you know, or how, or training them. Here's the 5 magic words. If you hear these words, here's my card, or whatever, however you do that. I would assume that with your close friends, you may not have done that. I'm thinking of 1 or 2 close friends that, as well as we know and as many referrals as we've made, they still don't know what I do. And they have referred, but they don't. I'm always amazed when they don't exploit every possible opportunity to do that. And I think because I've assumed that they know, and I kind of expect them and assume, and what those 2 words are death. Gotta let them go. And maybe part of moving from invisible to invincible, you may have brought something up that seems tangential but might be really important, which is to start right where you are with what you've got. The closest people, the people you do have the deepest connections with, and assume that they know nothing about you.
Yeah, and this is
zero, and they'd be great people to practice with.
Yes.
Opening up these lines of communication.
Yeah.
Training them in how do I want to share with you. My business is not one that gets advertised or marketed. It's word of mouth, and you have a great mouth, and we have a great relationship, and I'd really like to help you as much as possible to connect people that would benefit from me and benefit from these offers.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so spot on, and I love the way you're bringing it up too, and Robin is as well. She's got a lot of comments over here. Um,
Oh yeah.
she's loving what you're saying, Mark. Start with who is right here and what you can tell them. This is precisely where she is right now. And then she said earlier here that repetition is such a key, and she says that she can hear a few of her mentors, and she knows like she can hear their voices over and over and over again. She hears Steve Chandler's stuff, she hears my stuff, she hears Napoleon Hill's, and it's good to hear someone's message freshly if
Right.
it's a message that you resonate with in advertising. Um, and you're so right, Robin, too, because that freshness of it gives it a kind of a new life too, a new relationship even with you and the person. So I think that's a great point. Like, you know, it may work, but you're hearing it from the same person over and over again. Why not make it fresher? Why not, give them something, new and fresh to bite on, like a fresh salad as opposed to a wilty old, salad. So I think that's wonderful. And after paying, oh yeah, I'm going to read this one. After paying tens of thousands of dollars learning how to do it in other people's way, make it new and fresh now, spark it. And that's what Robin's doing, is she's helping people spark their business. And she's got some really special talents. Oh, and
Her way.
I am loving this, Robin. I mean, I'm loving what you're saying. She says she's going to help tell people that what she's doing is sparketing. I think that's brilliant.
Clever.
Really, really, and with what you do and how you do it, and how you're designed to really, seek, and you're seeking the connection for the people, and how can they connect to their people. I think that that's a really powerful spark offer that you have. So if anyone's watching and they want to get some help sparketing, Robin Holland. Robin Holland, is it robinholland.com? Shake your head, yes, or because I cannot see you no matter what I do. Oh, robincarolholland.com. Okay, so robincarol.com if you want to do that. And it's been really interesting for me because I've taught the law of attraction for years, and I'll give you her phone number here in a minute. She's so excited about this. So, so I've taught the law of attraction for years. I teach people how to use the law of attraction in their business to create empires. And and I really only work with people who understand the principles behind the law of attraction. So that kind of eliminates a lot of the population, like everybody, pretty much, who doesn't understand the law of attraction, who doesn't understand at least the concept of, thoughts become things. Because I used to try to educate people on that, and I realized really quickly that that was not my gift. Like, I'm not a gifted convincer. And that's really what it took for me to work with people at that level, is like, I'm not the person to convince somebody that the law of attraction works. I could pass on a book to get them up to speed. I've been teaching, Napoleon Hill's talking about the law of attraction without saying the words, so I can introduce that as a concept, but still doesn't quite speak to the fact that the people that I work with really do have an understanding of the law of attraction, and that's kind of the ground floor of, at least, if somebody's looking to refer me, please don't send me somebody who doesn't have an understanding of the law of attraction. You'd have to refer them to somebody else because that's a lot of hard work, and I found that there's a lot of drama in that game, of convincing somebody that thoughts become things. That is not my genius. However, my genius is absolutely, if you understand it and you're having a hard time figuring it out how to work it in your business and you want to grow your empire, that's my magic. that's it. You know, it's easy, it's effortless. I can help you make it easy. I can help you figure this out. And, you know, it is about self-appreciation. That's the magic key that makes it all work. But there is something in there that's, you know, in me being more like visible and feeling like this is cool because we're going to do this exercise. And Robin, I want you to do this too with us. I want you to type it and we'll do this. And anybody who's watching, I want you to do this exercise. I want you to think about who is not your client. Can you get that? Like, who do you really not want to work with? Because that gives, at least that will give the people that are referring you a great starting point. Like, okay, let's just weed out these people because they just really don't fit. People refer athletes to me all the time, even if they don't understand the law of attraction, because they have this understanding of mindset, and I can work with them. It's just not what I end up doing because I end up passing them on to somebody else if they don't understand the law of attraction. If they do, I'm happy to work with them. But that's kind of, you know, getting that, doing this exercise of who is your ideal client starts with who do you know is not your ideal client. We want to reach for like, oh, who is it? Who is it? Well, can we just weed out everybody who's not your ideal client and then just get to, okay. And when you're sharing this, and I want you to type it, if you're on the event page, type it in and say, you know, who is not your ideal client? You know, what is it? And you don't even have to share what you do at this time, but just share who's not your ideal client. There's a part of us that gets really into our own like clarity when we start to think about who our client is or who our client's not. So we have the contrast, and when we share it, I want you to pay attention to how you're feeling with your feet on the ground, grounding and breathing, because this should help you feel invincible. It should increase your invincibility feeling. So, yeah. Okay, so Robin's phone number is 415-342-5546. Robin creates at gmail.com if you want to do some sparketing with Robin. There's your 2-second. And who is it that you don't want to do sparketing with? Who do you not want to partner with for sparketing? That's what I want to know. Who is it that you don't want to spark it with? Who don't you want to spark it with? Isn't that fun? Anyway, so Mark, do you have any idea of who you don't want to spark it with?
Yes.
Okay, I want to hear yours. Go.
Highly resistant people to the idea of hypnosis or behavior change. You know, they're really stuck in their helplessness that are not going to engage. I can still work with them, but why? You know, I've got hundreds of other people to work with. And I would say that the people I wrote it down, I'll have to look at it again. Highly intellectual teenagers, very, very, very smart teenagers who are resistant to being there and are either coming from a broken home, a divorce situation, or where mom and dad are pushing them to overachieve and they've, you know, gone through all the other solutions. Now they're going to send them to the hypnotist. That's never been I'm not a family therapist, and I have great respect for people who can, you know, work in that environment and really, you know, do the things necessary. So usually that kid comes in as a pawn, and then all sorts of weird things happen. And I'm just not interested in playing that. So that would be on the individual level. In my show level, it would be people trying to get it really cheaply who are not generous on the other side of that. You know, doing everything they possibly could to make the performer feel welcome and to make the show work. It's not just that they want it cheap, then they want it, you know, with them doing no involvement whatsoever. and that's a no. That's not a good win-win situation. If they're willing to respect that this is a serious piece of business, and that yes, I'm going to allow them to have a discount because of certain things, and those certain things would be tremendous involvement on their part, then that's worth something to me, and it's going to make a great show. If they're just wanting to get the price shaved down to match the internet, I just want to have some fun with them on the phone and say, oh, you found a $400 price? I think I can find it for $200. Let's go on the phone. Now, I'm not saying they'll show up. I'm not saying they're insured. I'm not saying they even know how to do a show. But we'll find somebody that's out there for $200, which is a tenth of what a normal person would charge. But,
right.
You make your own decision as to whether, gee, why is somebody charging a tenth of what normal professional, is that just a bargain special to get interest, or do they have no idea what they're doing? By the time I'm done with that conversation, either they're laughing or I want to hang up because they're brain dead. One of my classic lines with those folks is, Jane, if the magician drops the rabbit, it's sad for the rabbit. We all love animals, and that's not fun, and it might traumatize one 3-year-old kid in the room, but it doesn't hurt the children. But if the hypnotist, messes with your head and doesn't know, let me ask you another way. Would you do cut-rate brain surgery? Would you hire a surgeon because he's cheaper? Hello, this is your kid you're playing with. They're not getting it. They go, no, I can find another guy to do the grab knife for half your price. Hey, good luck with that. I'll see you on the front page of the newspaper.
Yeah, right. Well, so
I'm pretty clear on who I know.
You are very clear on who you do not want to work with. So Robin's got a few of them over here. So let me read these. I have someone, I'm going to take a deep breath because this is going to hurt me reading it.
I'll read it for you. You can take a breath.
Okay, go ahead, read it.
Starters, Robin has, I have these. Someone who wants me to do all their work. Someone I have to drag through doing the work. Low consciousness people who think they already know everything, and people who want everything for free. Also, people not interested in growing. So let's review. Someone who wants me to do all the work, someone I have to drag through doing the work, low consciousness people who think they already know everything, people who want everything for free, and people not interested in growing. Those are the non-starters for Robin.
Yeah, that's awesome. Those are, do not refer, please, anyone watching this, this is my warning, do not refer anyone with those qualities to Robin.
Yeah.
Please, if you have any of those qualities, do not call Robin on the phone.
Big X across Robin's head. If you're...
Do not call Robin's number at 415-342-5546.
That's 415-342-5546. Invincible Sparketing.
Invincible Sparketing. Oh my gosh, it just gets better and better every second. We are so on a roll. Anyways, I'm having a great time. And Michelle Jarvis, I love you, Michelle. She's on the outside, and she's got her do not markets people here, so I'm going to read these too. People who are not the best fit are newbies who have no knowledge on the concept of energy, as in spiritual energy and how it operates, at least on the basic level of how energies work together. People who do not want to own their emotions, their behaviors, and who are stuck in blaming everything outside themselves for their life situations versus being willing to deeply look in the mirror and take responsibility for their lives and their creation. These people I send to others. People who are willing to go deeply into consciousness and how it plays out in their lives, and be willing to shift how they use the energy to create a more fulfilled, soul-aligned, and empowered life are her ideal clients. So, yay, yay. Oh, Michelle, I'll add a link, pop you in on the inside for the last couple minutes here. So, yeah, so you heard me say my ideal clients are, please don't send me anyone who doesn't have any idea about the law of attraction, because it is the foundation of all my work. And it just is too much work for me to catch somebody up to speed. It takes too long. Love it when somebody's just ready. They just know that something's missing, and just getting them on that right track, because it doesn't take a lot of time. Definitely, I'm not interested in working with anyone who, like Robin said, wants everything for free. Sometimes people who understand the law of attraction think that everything should be free. So they're playing on a lower field of vibrational play than I want to play, than I am playing. So they are, yeah, don't want those people as well. There's books that they can get at the library. They can even get my book. I have videos that they can check out at the library as well. Don't send them my way until they have read something. So.
Before you go much further, Michelle said something earlier, I don't know if you quoted it, said maybe they don't know that you want referrals, referring to especially our friends. Right. Not everyone naturally operates that way, since there still exists in mass consciousness the belief that we must do it all ourselves.
I think that's a great point. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And again, it's based, we're assuming everybody knows we work on referral. That's important to us. If you're my friend, you'll give me referrals. You'll just automatically know that, blah, 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 blah. And Michelle's giving still another reason, which is maybe what their assumption is. Oh, everybody does things themselves, so Dawn doesn't want my referrals, doesn't need them, she should get them herself. All of those possible things can be dispelled by moving from invisible to invincible, by having that heartfelt conversation, as Robin agreed, with people around us, people who are right next to us. If nothing else, it's great practice. And and you know, you might just engage them in that, hey, I want to practice with you and go through this. And I also want to hear what went on inside you as I brought these things up. You know, in addition to what you said back to me, you know, take a minute afterwards and say, what were your internal responses? Did you feel, did you withdraw when I asked you? Did you feel defensive? What went through your head that you didn't share with me? Because if they're close enough friends, they might be able to do that. Might be really useful stuff for reverse engineering this whole process.
Yeah, it's so perfect. And
thanks,
you know, Michelle brought up that great point too, that you know, that this is a part of, you know, mass consciousness that she's talking about, is like and especially as entrepreneurs, like we are somehow think that we have to do it all our own, right? In order to be successful. And I'll tell you, this is one of my biggest you know, stumbling blocks from a habit from childhood. I had to do everything my own. I had to figure it out on my own. I mean, I was so stuck in this whole pattern of needing to be the person to invent it, or to be the first person to do it, or needed to be the strongest. So it was like I had to have this #1 placement in, you know, and I had to do it by myself. Horribly painful, because I mean, as a young kid, I had a lot of talents. I could do that because not everybody was ambitious as young kids. So I tended to be in front of everybody else just by, you know, having a little bit of effort. You get to a point though when you grow, everybody else, you know, becomes interested in achieving things too. And then, you know, you need help. You really do need help. You cannot do it by yourself. And even as you'll find your place. There's a place, I believe, like in everybody, that there's like an energetic wall that we hit, that we just cannot move beyond it without honestly asking other people for support and help. And a part of knowing how to be in a state of, you know, like appreciating ourselves and supporting ourselves is knowing, where do we really need help? What is it that would really support us in getting out there? So Mark, you just brought up a ton of great stuff. Like, you know, having these conversations that's kind of the key. And we have a great conversation and be open enough to get the feedback of how it felt for somebody else to be on the receiving end of that conversation. Hi,
Wow.
Michelle.
We've got two Michelles now. Look at that.
One of hers is muted too, so I'm not sure what that's all about.
It's so strange. You know, there was an application mute notification muter that came up on my screen at the beginning. We'll talk about this after the show.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Time to ground.
I know.
Deep
Time to
breath
ground your feet.
grounding.
Oh,
I think it may be cameraman. Is that
I'm
superhero?
playing with cameraman. I don't know.
Oh, I thought that was a superhero, like
It
cameraman.
may have been that I turned this cameraman on before.
Oh, look at that, a silent laugh from Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Wow, you are a good audience, let me tell you.
You look amazing.
Robin still give me the...
I know. I should be able to turn it off. I'm clicking on the buttons. It's not doing anything. So as much as I would, let me look. I'm going to move over to the control room to see if I can get it that way.
Meanwhile, as Dawn messes with the controls, back in Consciousness Central...
Mark is going to do something.
Well, just I think I'll entertain, you know, like, I am working on my empire all the live long day, futzing with the Google controls. Isn't this a fun way to play? Can't you hear people muted? No, 'cause they can't talk at all. Don't you think the song is weird? And Mark is off the wall.
Yay! Mark is off the wall. Mark is off the wall. Yes.
Mark is off the wall today. Gee, I don't like to play it all, do I? No. All right. Well, that I think was so much more exciting than cameraman and Google muting and blah.
I know. Well, girls, I'm doing everything I can to try to get you so you can speak.
Wouldn't it be funny if we just clap our hands and suddenly they could speak and we were muted, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, you can chat. Ah, okay. So
many Michelles.
there, she's on now. Yeah. Woohoo.
I hear something.
That's awesome. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, whatever you did completely reset my screen, completely rebooted it. It opened up a new window, and it was like, okay, I don't know what's going on.
It was the clapping. It was the clapping.
See? One more time. Hey, maybe we can release Robin from mute hell. Hold on.
Yes.
Robin, this screen Robin. Okay. All right.
Run, Michael, help her with the technology.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, well, I got the camera. I totally turned the cameraman stuff off, so maybe that's why she was able to pop out or get back in, but I didn't do anything to unusual or that I hadn't done before. So.
Invincible. I am strong. I am invincible.
Oh, how much fun.
Okay.
Anyway, so because this is moving from invisibility to invincibility. And Michelle, yay, I'm so glad you're on the inside. Do you have any thoughts that you want to speak?
Yes, Michelle, you're on the inside.
Now. No muting.
Which is kind of funny considering I have a very powerful motorized throat, that I can't speak on the call.
Right.
Moving from invisible to invincibility, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, our shadows, our lower expressions of all of our energies, end up actually being something that overexerts it can create invisibility. Now, invisibility actually has a high expression and a low expression. When it's used to hide and avoid, that's a low expression. I'm trying not to be seen, I don't want to let my light shine and all of that kind of stuff. However, when the high expression of invisibility is actually when your light is so shining and you have surrendered your ego to source, and it's the sourceness of you that comes through, and you yourself as an individual, as a lone individual embodied, becomes invisible to the expression of the divinity that comes through. So it depends upon where are you coming from on the level of invisibility to me.
Yes.
So
Well,
maybe you
today
want to touch this.
yeah, yeah. So I think today we're talking about moving from hiding, the invisibility of hidingness. And I really loved the fact that you brought new consciousness to this, like how can we be invisible, to our ego. Our ego is invisible, and allowing the divinity within us to be the visible piece. That's a part of this. Don't you feel like that's a part of the invincibility? Like it's a part of the surrendering. You're bringing this like way deeper, which is awesome. I love this.
Oops, what level do you want me to take this to, Dawn? You know me.
So just move from the lower expression of invisibility to blend, and we'll say to the higher expression of invincibility or invisibility,
which
is invincible. Actually,
which is what?
When you embrace it from the high side, when you embrace your invisibilityness, when you're willing to be invisible, to allow the true sourceness of you to express through you, as one, where you are truly one, the self goes away, you are 100% invincible. There. Because all the energy that you are bringing forth is that of source creation through you and not limited by your little human body vehicle. You are fully grounded and you are fully connected, and that sucker is flowing, and you just are the conduit, not the creation. You are you're the conduit of the creator to put forth the creation, but you don't invest in the creation. You don't actually buy that. You don't buy into that. That's just temporary. That's just an expression. On to the next expression, the next now moment.
Yeah.
Now, invisibility as in the low expression, that's all based in fear. That is truly, I'm afraid of revealing myself. I'm afraid of being vulnerable. I'm afraid of being rejected. I'm afraid of being criticized. I'm afraid of that I'll do something that then I'll feel ashamed of myself. I'm afraid you won't love me. Name it. Fear of fill in the blank. That's where the invisibility comes from the other. And it's quite funny because when I'm like in really high energy, I actually become invisible to technology. So like those motion sensors that open up doors for you when you walk into a store?
Right.
You walk up to it and it sees you and the door opens, or you stick your hands underneath the faucet and the water runs for you. Right. They don't work for me. When I'm in really high vibe, they do not work for me. I have to go get a shopping cart and push it into the field for the little camera thingy to pick it up to do that. Wow. Or my husband stands next to me and he goes, think dense, think dense. And I sit there, underneath the bathroom sink in a public bathroom that has one of those motion sensor things, and I'm going, dense, dense, dense. And it's funny because other women will be looking at me. I'm like, can you please stick your hand under here to make this work for me? And they do, and the water comes on. I'm like, thank you. I leave. Or it's like, hey, kid, can you walk into this field for me to open up this camera? When my vibration is in a different vibrational field, and that's literally like I become invisible, and therefore I'm invincible to the effects of this realm. But to try to play in this realm, you got to go back and forth, and I'm still learning how to master that. Like, right. Okay, now I got to be dense to make this sucker work. Okay, now I can do this.
Well, and I think that we started this thing out, and I know you kind of came in halfway through, I think. Mm-hmm. We started this conversation, or started today's hangout with just this deep grounding breath. Ground us. Because taking that deep breath and grounding us, because really we are here to play in this field. We're here to be able to be of service and to give our value and to receive the value from the universe for the gifts that we're giving in our domain, like in the way we do, and from wherever it comes from as well. We don't just have to receive it from the way we are working, to be open. So the work of of doing, empire building. Mm-hmm. And this is what we're talking about today, is how do we move from being invisible, mm-hmm. where nobody knows that we have work that we can share and that we can help and we can really add a lot of value to the world, to moving into this place where, maybe you're talking about maybe moving into this place where we're being invisible to our ego selves, and we're moving into the higher expression of invisibility, where we are, one with the divine. We're aligned. We're totally activated to that, the divineness, mm-hmm. and that we're, but we're doing that in a way where we're creating a space for people to know what we do, so the people who are out there who need what we have can come to us and are attracted to us, uh-huh. in our field. So this is what we're talking about today, is like moving forward within our work, within our business, because we can be invisible. And because I can tell you what,
I know what
it feels good to just be invisible and to be one with the divine and just sit in that space, and it feels good. You can feel it right now and you're just thinking about it.
That's viewing it as a separateness. I'm not talking about separateness.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I totally agree. We can go there. We can go the separate and make it so. I don't know how much time you have for this.
We are actually at the end of it. So I was just wanting your thoughts of like how, do you have a thought of just moving,
yes.
How do you move from that within your business?
Stop compromising. On all levels. The only compromise you ever make is a compromise to which, if I do that task, it actually empowers and helps my skill level grow because it's something that's aligned with my passion. But a compromise based upon shoulds, and since this is a public call, I won't go into what, you know what I call shoulding on oneself.
Right. So you start with S and end with T?
Yeah, kind of like that. It's really, shoulding is having one foot in the past, projecting the past into the future, and your present is now. And you're kind of like peeing on your present. You're peeing on the power, which is all right now. That's what shoulding is. You're straddling your present and making a mess of it. Let's put it that way, by projecting the past into the future. Okay.
And this, if you don't know, Michelle, Fritz Perls, the father of Gestalt therapy, are you familiar with his famous quote?
No.
Well, Fritz had a very Viennese accent, and he simplified that whole thing down to 3 words. Should is shit.
There you go. And I totally agree.
That should is shit, because should deals with what isn't,
right?
And what we can deal with is what is.
Right.
So stop shooting on yourself and don't masturbate.
Yeah.
And should is also what was.
Delayed response from Rhonda. Look, the first thing she offers is a laugh. I love that.
I know. I love that too.
Yeah. So the compromise based in should, is one that you don't want to do, and it's very pervasive in our culture. We do this because we should do it, because this is what mom said that we should do, or dad said that we should do it, or the religion said we should do, or politics should, whatever. Put should on it. It may have worked in the past, but the question is it truly working now? Is it empowering you now?
And that brings us so full circle, because we talked about, that was exactly how we opened this conversation up, is how we're moving from invisible to invincible by doing it our way, by doing the whatever movement and giving our gifts and sharing our gifts in a way that is very unique to us, in a way that feels really good, it's about conversations, it's about being authentic, and it's not about what it looks like or what people are saying it should be like. So that's exactly, so it brings it around full circle. And this is just a great place to wrap it up. So for those watching on the outside, thanks for coming in and watching. You can post a comment if you want. And so happy that you're here. Move from being invisible to invincible by letting go of the compromises that you're making, by doing things you think you should be doing, and just do the things that feel really authentic. Have those deep conversations with people. Move forward in a way that is just true to you, that brings out your magnificence, and where you are allowing yourself to be, as Michelle brought up, invisible to your ego. Your ego could be invisible, and the divinity of you and the work that you do can be very visible. And that's how we're going to end it. So thank you, everyone, for joining us this week. Final words. Mark, do you have a final word?
We are empire builders. We are invincible. Invincible no longer, says we. I do have a final word. Bringing it into business, a simple mantra for all the business people and entrepreneurs and people asking for the offer and all that kind of stuff. You can say yes, or you can say no. If you really embody that, if I really believe that when I open to somebody, I'm not making a demand on them, it will resonate. People will feel that, and their resistance is, as much as possible, will drop away. If I come in addicted and attached to having an outcome, I've got to make them say yes. I've got to manipulate them into saying yes. They've got to say yes because they've got to feed my wallet, whatever. You can forget it. And we sometimes unconsciously are in that place without being consciously aware of it. It's like mental BO. So if we want to, I think the easiest way on a regular basis to move from invincible to invisible is to really embody that just for a moment, say, hey, they can say yes or they can say no, and immediately you're not holding back and being invisible, because that's one of the reasons we do stay invisible. We know we've got that mental BO, and we don't want to approach somebody because we can already see it's going to turn them off, blah, blah, blah. Instead of, hey, I can just talk freely about this when it's the right time. And if it's not. You know, I can set up another time. But just to have to keep closing, have to keep asking, not going to work, especially if I'm addicted to them saying yes and terrified of them saying no. Then I'll create more of that out there. I think that's one of the quickest, easiest ways to go from invisible to invincible.
Yeah, nice. Michelle, you have a final word?
No, I think I pretty much, don't compromise. Really, really align with what you are competent at. Not because, again, you're competent in your joy. It's like what you do that you're very competent in, and you feel joyous and aligned with. That's what you do, and it automatically acts like a magnet. It just, your aura just expands. It acts like a magnet. It draws people to you. The right people start asking for your service. Mm-hmm. And they're like, and I want to pay you. Okay, that works for me.
Yeah, awesome. Robin, you're not muted.
I can speak. I'm so glad. This has been yay. Thank you, Michelle. You're getting in and trying again, and us figuring out cameraman could go off. It's all so good. This is great. I just feel like the nut here for me is that we all really are amazing, and tapping into that amazingness of ourselves and sharing that, and not compromising it by falling into the thought that something someone ever told us or that we paid to be told is the right thing for us. It just probably isn't. Go ahead and do what feels right, what makes you joyful, and everything will work out.
Nice. Yay! And my final word is just allow yourself to be invincible. Just allow yourself to share yourself with the world, and just stop. Just stop stopping yourself. Just stop stopping. Because it's so much more fun to be visible. And the point that I wanted to bring out, I guess the word is authentic conversations. Just share from your heart. Like, what is it that you're really doing? You do that enough, eventually you'll hear this, what's really similar in every conversation, and you'll wake up one day and you'll be like, oh yeah, that's what I do. That's my magic. That's how people can refer me. That's exactly what I want to do for the rest of my life. I got it. Okay, I'm good. And then you'll never second guess yourself, and you'll totally know that the you are invisible to your ego, because all the BS, you've already passed it all back. And all that's left is the true you, and you're ready to build your empire with real ease, with real grace, because there's nothing, you're not fighting yourself. There's no fight within inside of you about who you are. That is really cool. Oh, so thank you all for watching and coming back, and we will not be here next week. The following week we will, and then I'm going to have vacation, so we're going to just, if you see an invitation for a Hangout, join, because that's when we'll have them. Yep, great to see you, and we'll see you next time.